Dr. Carla here with Ryan Duncan, and we are at Jubilee Farms. This is an amazing hidden secret here in Sarasota, Florida. And I am so honored that Ryan has offered to take me in his secret garden and share all of the amazing things that he's got going on back here. So Ryan, you know, we walked through a little earlier and you were sharing some unique things about your property and the things that you're growing, and then just an amazing testimony that we'll hear later too. But you're going to take us on a little tour right now. So thank you.
Yeah, well, welcome to Jubilee Organics. This is a agroforestry system that is built on a permaculture platform. And we focus on soil health and soil vitality to grow the most nutritious food possible.
Amazing, amazing. So, you know, this is not your local grocery store. This is something unique, and you'll see why as Ryan takes me through. So you want to head on over into the garden and we can
let's do it.
Take a look.
So this is really the most traditional portion of our farm system. This is what we call our market garden. It's about a 1/4 acre market garden where we're growing traditional vegetables like kale and collards and peppers and okra and eggplants and lots of herbs. And but one thing we do differently is we really focus on soil vitality. We build our own compost. We focus on the utilization of compost teas that really is about building soil health and building up the microbe system in the soil. So we do rotate these crops because these are all perennial crops, but we do a lot of interplanting. One thing you'll notice different, you go up to the Midwest and you'll have miles and miles and miles of one crop, and we call that monoculture. And here we do a lot of interplanting with different crops. You'll see different herbs, different shrubs, different flowers, all intended to be beneficial to the system.
So this is an interesting concept you have here. What is the? It doesn't look. It looks different to me.
Yeah. So here we are in the market garden. Traditionally, weeds would be dealt with either sprays or they'd be dealt with plastic. And what we like to do around here is reclaim what the earth's already given us. So we utilize wood chips, and in this particular row, we're utilizing seaweed that normally goes to the dump. Okay, so thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds of seaweed goes to the dump every year. But here what we do is we integrate it in our grow beds, and it adds mineralization to the soil. So it's going to help the plants to be even more productive, and also is a great weed barrier. So it utilizes multiple functions and creates a really excellent growing environment.
Awesome. So this is an organic farm. It's certified organic. Like you said, no pesticides were used, and
no pesticides, no herbicides. We do use what's called compost tea. So what we do is we build our own compost, and through the use of biomass that we collect here on the farm, and then we utilize that to brew a tea that gets aerated that we then spray on the farm. And really what we're doing is we are injecting microbes into our soil, and that helps to increase production, increase just overall plant health, and mitigates the need for pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. So it's all about increasing the life in the soil. And so that's one of our best practices we utilize.
Very cool. So nice to hear that.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of flowers and different vegetables, but I noticed this. What is this? It looks like oregano, maybe?
Yeah, so we have all kinds of different herbs on our farm. This one is a oregano, and one of the most really exciting things about what we're doing is we're growing lots of different herbs out here that we actually utilize to make our herbal broth. And what we're able to do is we're able to collect our oregano, our rosemary, our different basils, our chives, our edible hibiscus flowers, and we steep those and we make an herbal broth that releases essential oils, which at the end of the day adds excellent nutritional value for us in our soups. So that's kind of the basis for our soups. So the other good thing that the herbs do is they actually serve as a insect repellent. So you know, a lot of the pests, non-beneficials, will have an adverse reaction to having the herbs in close proximity with your vegetables. And also same with our flowers. We plant everything on this farm is purposeful. So nothing happens by accident. If it's growing here, it's for a reason. And we're growing these as pollinator attractors, and everything is working symbiotically. So it's attracting in the pollinators so they can help pollinate all of our veggies and veggie flowers.
Awesome. That is so cool. And you know, you mentioned that healing broth, and so often we boil our vegetables and throw the water out, but you're literally simmering all of the, like you said, the essential oils coming from the oreganos and the herbs, and it's staying in.
Yeah.
It's staying in the healing broth, and then you use that to make your other soups.
Yes, that's exactly
Nice.
right. And it's, well, our big thing around here is repurposing and being able to use everything, and nothing has ever left this farm, not one stick. So everything that's grown here gets put back into the system, and anything that comes off of this garden area goes to our animals. So we're an agroforestry system that's built on a permaculture platform, and the permaculture is simply the introduction of animals in a food growing system. So we have chickens, we have pigs, and they help us by eating all of the waste, all the stuff that we don't eat or that drops or rots, and then they give us back manure that we can then use to help build our compost. So, and of course the chickens give eggs, so they're multi-dimensional beneficial
That's
workers.
amazing. Yeah, you would just never know that here in Sarasota, Florida, there is this amazing space of life. It's incredible. So, all right, well, let's move on to the healing forest.
Yeah, let's go to the food forest. I want to show you what we do over here.
Okay. So, how do you keep the animals out?
Well, we utilize different fencing strategies, but the truth is, we don't. We grow enough and we're abundant enough that they get their fair share, and then we are still enough left over for
I love
us.
it. That's awesome. Perfect.
So, welcome to our food forest.
Food forest.
Yes, and at Jubilee we focus on biodiversity. Okay, that means a lot of different species. You know, we have a lot of different fruits. We have a lot of different support species, flowering plants, different varieties that we only grow for one purpose, which is to actually utilize them for fertilizer. So I might get ahead of myself. The way we grow food here is that we like to build up the soil. So we believe all nutrition stems from soil health and soil vitality. So we spend all of our time in a quest to build up the microbial life in the soil. Living soil yields living food.
That's right.
Dead soil yields dead food. So a lot of what we do is an attempt to continue to build life. We don't till, we don't turn the soil. Every time you do that, you break up fungal networks that are called mycelium, that are very important in this system. So by planting all these different species, we're just constantly encouraging this biodiversity, and it's a support system, and it's synergistic in the way they take care of one another. And what we see is less disease, less pestilence, and the ability for the plants to fight for themselves. And we don't have to prop them up by spraying chemicals or fertilizers on them, because they have the capacity to fight for themselves. So
it's a lot like our own human bodies, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, we had a conversation about the mitochondria earlier being the same as the soil in our bodies. We also have the mitochondria, which are those tiny little bacteria, and they're communicating with each other. But what just struck me right now is how amazing God already created everything the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when you leave it alone and you do it naturally, it takes care of itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That actually is my line. I always say, if we get out of the way, it's amazing what God's creation is capable of. And it's every time we try to make some enhancement, or improvement to a perfect system, that it gets messed up. And you know, we try to increase yields by spraying stuff or all of our best ideas. And this literally is just going back to the way it was originally designed. Let plants grow, let them die, let them fall, let it become biomass in your system. And at the end of the day, that perpetuates microbial life, lots of critters, lots of worms, which produce nutrients that the plants now utilize to be able to produce really, really nutritious food. And so that's one of the big things you'll notice when you eat from a food system like this is the flavor. It's like so much richer. It's sweeter, and it also, I mean, when I eat it, I feel better. You know, I feel lighter. I have energy. And so many times in my old life, after I eat, I need to go straight to the couch, you know? And so now kind of my litmus test for how am I eating is, what does it do to me after I eat it?
Exactly.
Does it drive me to the couch or does it drive me to work?
That's right.
Because it's supposed to drive me to work. And
yeah.
that's what this food does, you know, when it's living food. So, you know, all under any of this mat of biomass, you've got just millions of worms. And they're doing all the heavy lifting in this farm system. They're doing tunneling, they're moving earth, and they're leaving different tunnels for all the other critters to go through. And then behind them, they're leaving their worm castings, which is a source of nutrition and food for the plants.
Wow.
And, you know, it's all linked to environmental health.
Yeah.
Because every one of these trees is cleaning up the atmosphere. So one of the big things with agroforestry is it dovetails into helping heal the environment too. So as we heal the soil yields food that heals us. And the trees are healing the environment, and round it goes.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful, perfect system when we embrace it.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different species of, I see bananas, and you were telling me about moringa, which was super healthy. What else do you have here growing that might be something that you can't find at the local grocery store?
That's a good question. So one of our favorites that has been a core staple in my diet for the last several years is Egyptian spinach. It is actually a very powerful green that's very popular in Middle Eastern culture, in Asian culture, that actually has a reputation for healing a pharaoh on his deathbed 4,000 years ago by ingesting a soup made with Egyptian spinach. And so we look all over the world and say, what is the most nutrient-dense food out there? And then we attempt to grow that here. Because a lot of the foods that are sourced in our grocery stores may not necessarily be the most nutritious foods on the face of the earth. They're just the most profitable to grow. So we look to the world and look for pockets of really good health and say, what can we model after that? And so, you know, Egyptian spinach is one. You know, varieties like jackfruit is becoming a really popular staple for vegans and plant-based diets. Elderberry is an excellent, I'm just looking literally right here where we're standing.
Right here.
Right where we're standing, we've got elderberry, we've got jackfruit, we've got moringa. There's 22 varieties of bananas on this property.
Wow.
We have 20, so beyond just varieties, we've got sub-variety depth. And all that biodiversity just creates a really eclectic, healthy environment for stuff to prosper. So, you know, these are our Mexican sunflowers, and the Mexican sunflowers, we grow those for two reasons. One, they attract beneficial pollinators, and two, we chop them right down and throw them right into the bed. And so what we're doing, traditional farming takes a piece of dirt and erodes it. And then farmers have to leave and go to another plot of land.
Right.
And for years, farmers were migratory. You know, they were nomadic. But what we're doing is by the chop and drop, God's plan is that earth builds up and it gets more vitality as the years go on. So we're just replicating that by accelerating the process, chopping and dropping, put it in place, and usurping that nutritional value from that activity.
And you're actually in a really unique position with the different waterways, and you were telling me about the moisture in this area. That's how you're able to grow like Egyptian spinach in Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a unique microclimate here that it stays considerably warmer in the winter, and it enables us to grow a lot of varieties that are really popular and prolific in Southeast Asia and different and different cultures like that. So we grow the mango and the avocado and the jackfruit and the loquats and the lychees, and all of these tropical fruits really thrive here. And it is because we are on a peninsula here, surrounded on all sides by water. So we have a little bit of a luxurious position of being able to have some flexibility in our planting diversity.
Right.
And that just goes to the overall health and productivity of the system.
Nice.
So I had to stop here to tell you about this tree. This is the strawberry tree, and it does not grow strawberries, but it grows these little epic fruits that when you eat them, they taste just like cotton candy. So one of our favorite things to do is we will make nice cream, which is a dairy-free ice cream out of bananas, and blend up frozen bananas, and then we'll chop up our little cotton candy flavored strawberry fruit and put it on it. So this tree just is a beautiful shade tree. There is literally bees all over this pollinating flowers right now, so it's really beneficial to the whole system. And then you always get the fruit.
Yes.
So
we have to try this.
the fruit is a bonus.
Oh my goodness.
So sweet.
That's
I know.
so good.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, this is always one of the kids' favorites.
Wow.
So this is a beautiful tree.
So we made it to our final destination here in the Tiki Hut that you were telling me you built for your wife,
Yes.
so she could just come out here and relax. Well, really for the whole family, but it's literally at the end of the food forest.
Yeah.
And so we just learned so much. I don't know about you guys, but I am so impressed and just really in awe of how you've taken everything that God designed and put it into practice, and now you're reaping the benefits and helping so many people, literally saving lives with your broths and the soup, and just I can't even imagine. It's only been 6 months.
Yeah.
What God has planned for the next 6 years, the next 16 years. I mean, anything is possible.
Amen.
So you were telling me about literally how intricate everything is, but how it actually all works together.
Yeah.
So, but in your previous career, you were in finance.
Yes.
So how did this just one day, you had a dream about all of this, or did you just always have an interest? How did this all even come about?
Yeah, that's a question I ask myself all the time too. But yes, I've been in financial services my whole life. Financial advisor, different finance related businesses, and this really was born out of my own necessity. I was having my own health issues that with my stomach, with my blood pressure. I was in my early 30s, experiencing stage-1, stage-2 hypertension, and also having such severe acid reflux that I was taking medicine for about 15 years just to be able to really eat like a normal person. And finally got to the point where I had to see the doctor, and I went in, they put me on medication, told me it was genetic, and keep doing what I'm doing. And it didn't ring true, but he's the doctor, so I went home, started taking the medicine, and I started having side effects, and some of which I was not willing to have at 32 years old. And so I went back and talked to him and said, what are my other options? And he told me point blank, there are no other options. You can take this medicine safely, your whole life. And I just threw the medicine back on his desk and I said, no thanks. And that just sent me careening on a journey of what are my options. And I watched a lot of documentaries. The first one I ever watched was Food Matters, and it changed my life. I never knew the connection between food and health. Like, it never dawned on me.
We're not taught that in school.
No, and in Western culture, we're just kind of indoctrinated into a diet of meats and dairies and lots of breads, and I thought that was fine. And the deeper I went, I started to realize, okay, there is a connection between food and health. And then I went a little deeper, and I learned that growing my own food could actually take it to another level of vitality versus buying it in the store. So I started a little garden in my backyard that kind of grew crazy, and you know, I ended up though in 30 days on a green smoothie diet, growing just greens in my home garden, collards and kale and lettuces. I ended up losing 20 pounds and my blood pressure dropped by 20 points within 30 days. I'm like, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And so then I was obsessed.
Yeah.
There was no turning it off. So I continued in my own backyard garden until my wife said, that looks awful and that's got to go. Yeah. And so I told her at that point, well, then we need to get some land because I want to continue to do this. And this is going to be an integral part of my health and our family's help. And so that's the mustard seed it started with. And just this kind of burden I had that if I didn't know this, how many more people don't know this? Right. And I've just always been left with this kind of hole that, you know, I was standing around in the middle of this field one day and God spoke a word to me and said, the first attack on man came through food and the final attack on man is coming through food.
Whoa, just got goosebumps.
And I dropped to my knees and I cried. And I said, not on my watch. And so my commitment and message I'm carrying to my children is, I'm going to do everything in my lifetime to carry a message that food matters, that food is medicine, that it works, and there is a direct correlation with our health and propensity to getting disease and what we consume. And so we have made it our focus and really our mission to carry healing food to the world and introduce Western society to some things that we haven't been introduced to, and that are very nutritious and grow very good here. They do. So that's kind of been the walk, and I've surrounded myself with a lot of really smart people along the way, because you know, there's a great community of people that understand agroforestry and how to grow food God's way. And I just tried to glean as much wisdom as I could from those people. And so that's really how the transition from financial services to farmer happened. It was on the heels of a lot of really, really smart, loving people that were willing to share what they so freely, you know, they just freely gave something they've worked really hard for. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what I really love is the way that you're getting this out to people. Because, you know, one of the main reasons why we go to the doctor is because we've become a microwave society. We want a fast fix. But what I know as integrative medicine is that you don't get sick in 24 hours. This is something that develops over time. This is, you know, the poor diet, the high stress, the jobs that we have, the air that we breathe, and it can't be fixed just like that. You know, we want it to be with a pill. It'll cover it, but doesn't get to the root of the problem. What really gets to the root is, like you said, using food as medicine, because food is something you're going to eat every day. So if you continue down the path of eating and the same lifestyle that you had, then you're just going to keep continuing down that same road. So what I love is that you've made it really convenient. So not only do you have, you know, you were showing me some of your samples, and they come in a jar, and I was remembering, because I was fortunate to grow up in a time where my mom and my grandmother, they would can vegetables, carrots, green beans. We had a garden, and those are the things that we did. That's exactly what you're doing. And I thought, oh my gosh, just like my grandma made. But not only that, you ship directly to my house. So I don't even have to go to the store to pick this up. There's no excuse. You can get all of the goodness right here on Ryan's farm in a jar, delivered to your door, and you just heat it up. So many delicious recipes. Tell me some of your favorites.
Okay. So we really wanted to focus on simplicity. You go into the grocery store and you pick up a can or a jar of something, and it's got 152 things on it, 151 you can't pronounce. And that was like, we're not going there. So we wanted to create simple products with real food in them. So we really try to limit our ingredients to 4 to 10 ingredients, all of which are grown here on the farm. And so my personal favorite, our flagship product, is our Healing Greens soup. And really the star of the show in that one is the Egyptian spinach, which, you know, there is a fable that it healed a pharaoh on his deathbed 4,000 years ago by consuming this soup that we used as our muse to create it. So we start with our herbal broth, and then we add our Egyptian spinach and our moringa, which we grow in mass quantities here. And it also has our turmeric and our ginger. We grew a lot of turmeric last year. It is almost in every one of our soups. And so we really focus on gut health and alkalinity levels. And so we're promoting an alkaline diet. And you know, that is probably one of the most healing one. And then our sweet potato chili is a crowd favorite. We grew 4 different varieties of heirloom sweet potatoes this year. They're all represented in that chili. Everything we do is dairy-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, no preservatives. Awesome. So we are really focused on having a non-allergen product, because the allergen epidemic in our society is really what we are showing that food can change that. Right. And so maybe another one that is another one of my favorites is our red lentil stew. And we do things a little different, you know, where maybe a traditional red lentil stew would have squash or a zucchini. We'll use green papayas. One, because we grow a bunch of them, and 2, because it is really, really medicinal for our gut health. So, and then when you cook a green papaya, it tastes a lot like squash. So it's absolutely delicious, but it's better for us. So those are a few of my favorites. I could go on, but you know, we always are trying to focus on keeping it simple and keeping it clean, real food that's living food from living soil. That's our mantra.
And food is medicine. You know, you just named off so many different things, and I'm thinking anti-inflammatory, enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics.
Yeah.
You're getting it all in a bowl of soup.
That's right.
I love it. It's so awesome. Yeah, that is so cool. So how can we get it?
So the best way to get on our delivery subscription service is go to jubileeorganics.org.
Okay, and we'll post that below. So.
Yep. Yeah. And you can basically order our subscription service, which drops monthly, and it's curated based on what the individual wants in the box. They can change it anytime, and the flavors change seasonally. So when our sweet potatoes are gone, they're gone. And that's the end of the story. But and that already happened with one of our products. Our mango nectar was a huge hit last summer. And but when it's gone, everybody's like, "Where's the mango nectar?" I'm like, "Guys, this is seasonal local stuff." So you know, so that speaks to the importance of seasonality in our diet too. Everything grows in different seasons for a reason. And so with the subscription box, you get the benefit of that seasonality and being able to really eat seasonally. And you can also go on and order as many jars you want in any type of a la carte scenario. But the subscription box is a really fun option. It makes great gifts too. So we do have a gift option as well to send to someone, and it's really beautiful, and it's shelf stable food. Shelf stable,
yes. We talked about that. It's actually for a year.
Yes, up to a year. The way we do our thermal processing, it is shelf stable for up to a year. So there is some food security. And which I think is really important in this day and age, to be able to put some food away and have it on the shelves and know the nutritional profile is locked in.
That's right, just like Grandma did.
Just like Grandma did, that's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me out here to the farm, and I am so looking forward to what God has planned here on this location and also where you're expanding. And I know you're not here with me, but you can just feel the love and passion coming out of this man for what he's doing. And so, I mean, that goes a long way too, because you're literally going to eat that love when you're eating his soup. So just like Grandma used to stir in that love when she was making you the soup so you would get better, I can tell you right now I'm feeling that from him, and I'm so excited. So get on there and order yourself some of this amazing soup. So my favorite was, I loved all of them, but that sweet potato chili, that was so good.
Yeah.
The healing broth, definitely want to get the healing broth, and the healing greens. So those were my favorite, but you're always coming out with new stuff too.
Yeah, so we've got a couple new releases coming up here in the next couple weeks.
Cool.
So we're really excited, and we're trying to always keep it interesting. Because we believe that plant-based diet doesn't have to be boring,
right?
And it can be filling, and that's really our goal, is to create hearty meals and to keep it interesting so people don't get bored with a plant-based diet.
Cool, awesome. All right, so thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you here again on Dr. Carla TV. Bye everyone.